Here's the edge everybody wants, but nobody's willing to put in the work to actually make it their competitive advantage. Dan Hunt here. I'm a performance coach, helping individuals and teams win by being their best when it matters the most. That edge, that competitive advantage that you're seeking, it happens right here. And more than anything, it's your focus. The thing that I'm talking about today is your ability, your skill to be able to focus on either the task at hand, next right move, the thoughts or the self-talk that actually brings your best. It's that ability to be able to zoom in when you need to and zoom out when you need to. Focus. When to be external and when to be internal, right? When to be task and when to be more about the vision ahead. You need to be able to cultivate and develop this skill. When I hike, I love wearing a hat. Sometimes it's just to keep the sun out of my eyes. Sometimes it's the sweat, it just catches the sweat. But using a hat, what I found is partway through a specific hike that I do at least once or twice a week, about 2/3 through, there's a hill that's about 50, 60 yards and at a pretty good incline. And when I'm carrying 30, 40 pounds, what I like to do is I like to go up and down this hill, 5 to 10 times. Some days is not as much as others, but I like to challenge myself. And what I found is that the days that I've worn that hat backwards and I get to the bottom of that hill, because I start at top and I walk down and I turn back around and I look at the hill, are a lot of times the days that it's very easy, especially if I didn't get a lot of sleep, for oh man, I don't got it in me today. That all of a sudden the self-talk starts creeping in of, I just don't know if I have it in the tank. Let's just do one today, right? And I got to tell myself, no, we're doing 8, right? I try to commit to a number before I even start. And then I hit that number. But the thing that I'm trying to drive home here is that when I have my hat on backwards, that perspective is why it's very easy for me to go, oh man, I just can't do it today. I don't know. But what I have found is that before I ever step foot going down that hill to begin those 8 to 10, 5 to 10, whatever it is that I decide that day, I turn my hat around. And what that does is it brings that bill forward and I'm able to drive my focus to just what's in front of me. And what I found is that a lot of times when I say, hey man, I got 7 in the tank, let's do 7. I'll do 9 or 10, right? Sometimes when I go, man, I got 10, I'll do 12. But what I do is I bring that bill forward and I end up bringing my focus in where I have to go like this to be able to see the top of the hill. But if I just look straight ahead, I'm able to see 2 to 3 steps in front of me. And what I found over time is that especially when it goes like this and it really starts hitting that incline, I actually pick up the pace because I know I just need 2 to 3 more steps, 2 to 3 more steps, 2 to 3 more steps. Then I'm able to drive those steps quicker because I'm not worried about how far away the top is. I'm just worried about what's in front of me. What I'm leveraging in those moments is focus. What I'm doing is I'm putting something that doesn't allow me to look way far ahead, but it just constricts what's right in front of me. What is that for you? Because I see a lot of times when I'm talking with athletes, you start driving things home, you start talking about things and they're like, yeah, but in later on in the season or at this point of the season or what about next year and all those things are so far ahead. We got to be able to bring the focus in to what's in front of you. You need to be able to bring those thoughts and your actual vision to what's right in front of you. So what you need to do is you need to start being aware when you feel overwhelmed, when you feel like you can't take the next step, when you feel like I just don't know, or you're starting to think months ahead and it seems overwhelming, you need to be able to bring that focus in. You need to put that hat on, quote unquote, and be able to say, what's the 2 to 3 steps in front of me? What does that look like? What do I need to do? How do I need to show up to those 2 to 3 steps? Right? And you might be driving really hard and you're going, man, I just don't know what I'm doing this for. And you might need to switch that hat on backwards for a moment. And you might need to look ahead and say, what is the reason I'm doing? Why am I doing this? Where am I going? Because that's sometimes what we need to do with our focus, to recapture the things around us and to be able to go, okay, this is why, and then drive back those steps. But focus and leveraging that focus is critically important for you maximizing your performance. I don't know if you've experienced this before, but I have, where I've competed directly against somebody that might not have the skills that I have, that actually have lesser skills than I have, but end up beating me. And what happens in those times, it's because they're able to leverage their focus way better than I can. And a lot of times what I've found is that I'm actually more focused and frustrated with the thoughts that they're not as good as me, which ends up taking me out of that competition. That's weak-minded. And you got to be able to recognize that. And so for you today, I want you to start to become aware when your focus is too wide and start bringing it into what's in front of you. And when it's right in front of you and you don't know and you're losing that drive, how to switch that hat behind and try to grab a bigger perspective, try to widen that focus. Because focus is going to be the thing right now that is going to help you perform at your best. And it's probably going to be able to unlock and move you through things that you haven't been able to move through before.